Hi everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Brand, a podcast by Not Just Marketing, the official marketing and advertising cell of NMIMS Mumbai. I'm Paina and I'll be your host for the day, and I have someone very special with us, an NMIMS alum who has managed to build a cross-industry career across product, BFSI, real estate, and now he's working in the capacity of the real estate director, luxury segment director across the real estate vertical at NoBroker, Mr. Mihir Kanakia. Welcome here, Mihir. We're so grateful to have you here with us.
Thank you, Parina. Thank you so much.
So let's go back in time and start with the very first question. Tell us about your NMIMS experience. What were those years like for you, and what part of the experience made you the professional that you are today?
Well, the NMI's experience was obviously good. We were all here to tap the much famed NMIS exposure. I luckily got through as one of the participants in the, as we called it, the master's degree program at that time. We were all working professionals. So it was fun, very brutal, because the rigor was very, very tough. You guys might know NMIS is not very easy in terms of rules and attendance and stuff like that. So it was fun, but in a much more adrenaline fashion, because there was always something to do. And just because we were sort of doing our executive MBAs, there was no respite. There was nothing like that. So we were always on our toes. And at that time it was very brutal. But when we passed out, I think we all had such a huge void in our lives. Especially people like me who didn't even have a girlfriend, right? There was a lot of void. We didn't know kya karna hai abhi, because even when we were at home, we were planning our next day. So that was the joy, and that made me personally a professional. Whatever little I've managed to do, wherever I've been, I think those 3 years were very formative in terms of reshaping the way I work. It was fun. But yeah, maybe my answer was too long, but that was how my life was.
Perfect sense. I think not a lot has changed. You're still the same, compartmentalizing different subjects, different assignments,
Right.
a personal and professional lives. It's like pretty much the same.
And I must say, on a lighter note, it was our fees that this building was built. Because when we finished our course, I think in the next year or two, they demolished the building. So
Yeah,
just a joke.
We have much to thank you guys for. I think this is one of the earliest things that attracted all of us to NM as a college.
You will laugh if I tell you in what fees we finished our MBA. So let me not get there. It was almost for free.
So, Mihir, your early roles were in the sales and product segment in the BFSI space. What were those first few years like for you, and what exactly did you learn on the ground that still helps you today?
Well, look, 25 years back, product sales had a very different dynamic. Not everything was, information was available even for something that you had to sell or market, right? Not everything was online. Obviously, there was nothing online at that time, right? So it was the good old brochures, leaflets, and huge catalogs that we used to have. I mean, I was in the financial industry, so we had. I started my career with selling credit cards. So there were 2, 3 aspects to it. One is what you sell. It's the good old who, what, where, when, how. But it was very different then, right? So what we used to sell was a variety of credit cards. In those days, credit cards were still, most of them were paid cards. Now a lot of cards are free. But we had to pay. We had to sell. So the customer had to pay. So there was a selling aspect involved. And credit cards at that time was still like a
Novel.
yeah, it's a novel concept. It was a little bit of not everybody has it. The credit card penetration in India at that time was barely 1.5% of eligible people. Today it's barely 3.5-4% still. So the penetration is still a huge gap. But what we used to sell was these products. Then we used to do a lot of cross-selling also to our customers. And it was, I would say, it was very analog model. Nothing was online. So we used to train physically, right? We used to read the application forms ourselves. Kya bharana hai customers, right? How did we do it? The second part of answer is, how did we do it then? So, I mean, it's not just for credit cards, but for any sort of financial product or in general, where it was B2C, right? There was a lot of groundwork to be done, and groundwork was in a lot of ways. You go to another bank and figure out what are they selling. Very, very basic. Do your research. Dig. You have to dig for information. Do your research constantly. Now, of course, there are much more easier ways, but now veracity of sources you have to. So there's a new challenge. You have to make sure that your verification is correct. That time we used to go branch to branch, understand who's selling what. We used to also find out who's the best sales guy in that company. Why don't we poach him or her, right? Um, in terms of distribution, it was a broad setup, very traditional. Still, it works in most industries, but we had a inside sales team, so to speak, where there were mostly females and males, of course, who used to reach out, call on databases. Cold calling was very, very prevalent at that time. So we used to call them, they used to fix appointments for us, we used to go meet, pitch. So to wrap up the answer, I think it was very, very analog, it was very, very rudimentary as compared to what we do today. A lot of it still survives, but the thing was that it was a very distribution, people heavy, salesy model, right? And it still is, but there's now a little more sophistication. There's a little more what you can't do, what you can do. In today's world, relationship building is much more sort of WhatsAppy kind of thing.
Very transactional.
Very transactional. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Very transactional. But even today, in fact, because it's much more transactional now, it's difficult. But people value a relationship-based, an engagement-based relationship, and then leading to transaction. They value much more. So if you are somebody who can really crack that piece, irrespective of which sector you are, if you can crack that relationship angle, and obviously genuine, you can't fake it. The good thing about relationship building and management is you just can't fake it.
People see through.
People see through it. People are much more wiser, smarter today. So if you can work on your relationship building, both internally and externally, in fact, I would say your internal customers, which is your people in the company where you work, they are even more important than the external customers. I'm saying something which is a little not so traditional, but if you can get your internal relationships right, a lot of support, a lot of information, a lot of work that you want to get done gets faster.
I think even though your experience relates to the BFSI sector, this is something that is very valuable for most of us who would be joining as an MT, like a management training, FMCG companies, or across industries. I think that part of like reaching out, being on the ground, talking to people, building relationship, that is of paramount importance.
Yes, absolutely.
So Mihir, now you're part of one of India's most disruptive high growth startups, NoBroker. What drew you to this company, and what does a typical day in your life look like as a director of the luxury segment?
Right. So it's obviously a great organization. I've been lucky to get a chance to work in, I think, the best prop tech in India. I think what drew me to NoBroker was a combination of two things. And just to take you a little back, I mean, after banking, I've been doing real estate for 11, 12 years now, and I've worked with a developer. So I've seen the developer side. Then I worked with a consulting firm, which is one of the big five, called Savills. I helped them launch the residential business in India. That was a very great exposure because you talk to developers, you advise them, and for that you need to do your own research and stuff. So I had done, I would say, as we used to call it in the financial industry, I was part of the manufacturing firm, which is manufactured real estate products. Then I was part of the firm that also had a much more macro view of the market and more on the advisory and broking side. Especially I specialize in weekend homes and stuff, so I got a lot of exposure on HNIs who are buying their fifth, sixth home in Goa, Alibag and stuff. So I'd seen that world too. And by nature, I have always tried to explore. Even in the same industry, I've never once I see that my learning curve is going a little down, I try to raise it. So you learn, you survive, and you grow and repeat. That's my mantra in any job, right? So before NoBroker, I was there for a brief 1.5 years in prop tech. So prop tech was really drawing my attention. Again, there is not so much tech in real estate yet, but it's the future, right? So there is fintech, there is edtech, but there is very few prop tech. So I joined this startup where I used to sell commercial properties on a fraction ownership model. It's an extremely popular model in the West. It's almost 40, 50 years old. India, it was new, so it excited me. So one is obviously the financial aspect. You grow with the industry, something new, you also gain financially. But more importantly, you learn one more way of selling, one more product that you get to sell. So we used to sell commercial properties of 50, 60, 80 crores to 200 people with a ticket size of 25, 30 lakhs each, right? It is today called a small and medium REIT product, right? And I was part of that only three, four companies in India. So I got the chance to head that business there and learn that business, do multiple assets in multiple cities. And then it was NoBroker. I found it an ideal combination between what I really love, which is luxury real estate. That is my true love in terms of real estate, and the tech aspect of it. So how do you bring luxury real estate to end buyers, consumers through the tech ecosystem? And obviously the founders of NoBroker have done a fab job with what they have built. This is a very, very small part of the business, so but it's a growing business, and now helping them create a sub-brand so that there's a different brand identity for luxury consulting and stuff. So there's a huge market. So just to give you a sense, we do about all properties worth 4-5 crores plus in India falls under this segment, and we are trying to build that. But there's a lot more stuff that NoBroker does. But in general, the market for luxury 4-5 crores is huge. It's massive. People are more and more wanting luxury. Everyone defines luxury differently in real estate. Some developers call a 2 crore apartment luxury. Some people call 20 crore also luxury. So it's a little vague. Everyone interprets and defines it the way they want. But broadly, I found the combination of my past experience as well as the new age way of taking the luxury buying. I found that as a very exciting combination, which is why I was lucky enough to be chosen for that role, and yeah, here I am.
I think NoBroker has been quite revolutionary. Speaking from personal experience, I lived in a high-rise society in Gurugram. That was the first time my parents felt a sense of ease that, okay, that there's an additional layer of security in place where they can speak comfortably. So I think that is something that they've done quite revolutionary in India itself.
I think the founders have a great vision. I think there's no other company which does almost everything in real estate, whether it is property management or society management, resale, buy, sell, renting. So yeah, we had a great exposure there.
They create small pockets of utopia that within the boundaries of the society, there really is nothing that that cannot be fulfilled by NoBroker. So that is one thing. But thank you for answering that question. I think I would like to talk about startup culture in general, that there are a lot of new age startups that are essentially breaking into category creation. So what are the fundamentals of category creation according to you, and what role does brand trust play when the category in itself is in very nascent or new stages? So,
well, look, I look at it this, it's a very good question. Frankly, I look at it very, very old school way, to be honest. Brand trust has been generally, at least in my experience, a byproduct of product creation, right? Especially when there is a new product or a new service experience, or the way you deliver a new product or a service, right? And the brand follows that. In fact, I would go on to say that a successful product or a service creation and then distribution is the brand itself, right? Because brand at the end of the day is an experience, right? Of course, later on, when most companies want to scale, grow, they have to make themselves known, right? And when you want to scale, you obviously need to make yourself aware. Like, if there is a good brand, let's say an Urban Clap, or did very well in Bombay, but now they want to scale, they've got funding or whatever. I'm just giving you a very rudimentary example. Um, they want to scale, they have to create awareness. And when they want to create awareness, any sector, they have to think what they want to be known as and what they want to be known for. While they have been successful in the product creation, the brand follows that product delivery, right? Now you have to verbalize and imagine it. What logo should it be? What do you want to say? What is your elevator pitch? What should be your catalog look like in these days? What is your 1-minute video pitch or whatever, right? So I would say brand trust is a byproduct of product and category creation, whether it's NoBroker or anybody else, right? And then it starts feeding back into the product sales, right? Once the brand experience resonates in the product delivery and the service, I think then the brand feeds in back into the product, and then it helps sales and stuff like that. But I don't think it's the other way around. You don't create a brand and then say, yeah, listen, this is the product that I'm selling, right? Especially when it's a startup, right? Because if you have loads of money, yes, you can always talk about what you do and things like that. And in some industries, maybe it's true. Yeah, it is true, but very rarely, if a large set of people, the good old early adopters and then followers that we study in college, it's true, right? There are always early adopters, and then the followers. वो early adopters और followers जब तक sizable quantity में नहीं होंगे, आपका brand trust नहीं बनने वाला, because ultimately word of mouth is the brand. In today's world, obviously, there is a lot of social media, so the word of mouth spreads faster. You have to proactively do that as well, even though you may be very good. So that's where I see the brand trust going hand in hand with product category creation. But otherwise, it's always the sequence is always, I would say, the product first.
The core offering.
Yes.
And it cannot be like a one-time thing. It is a continuous activity.
Absolutely continuous.
So Mihir, with the market evolving rapidly, interest rates, affordability, migration, urban centers, these are all the major trends that we are noticing of late. So what major shifts do you observe in the Indian real estate market in general, and how is consumer behavior changing at a macro level, especially digitally, if we talk in digital terms?
Okay, so I think there are 2-3 subsets to this. One is just at an economy level, what is real estate doing? So it broadly already contributes 7% of the GDP, right? It was about 6% 5-6 years back. If you take the allied industries, which is cement and steel and stuff like that, the GDP is much more. It's already the second largest employer in India, right? So real estate, why it's important for this context is that real estate is going to continue to be at the heart of where India's development happens, right? We see a lot of this residential builders, redevelopments happening, so you tend to feel that real estate is just this. But labor, cement, sand, materials, there are so many other things that go into it. So that is the macro aspect, right? Then I think in terms of what are the trends that are happening in real estate, look, 3-4 key things that have changed, at least what I have seen. There are new product categories that have come in real estate. The buying behavior has significantly changed, especially after COVID. And I'll give you some data points wherever I can. And third, I think the way we do real estate. You said digitally. So what has changed, right? It is clearly moved from what I need to what I want. Real estate is no more about यार मुझे एक bedroom चाहिए and things like that. One beds don't get built anymore, and if they are very small. They're 250-300 square feet, one beds in Mumbai at least. So in that way, in a lot of ways, we are going the Hong Kong way, right? The richest and the most well-to-do people live in boxes, unfortunately, right? Not that bad, but I think we are getting there. So that is one part. So one is what I want versus what I need. Clearly, what I want is what is driving real estate in a big way. Whether it's offices, whether it's residential, then new product categories have come. Earlier, only the rich and truly the upper middle class used to have bungalows in Lonavala or Kasauli or Mussoorie or Goa or Alibag, right? Today, anybody who is, probably middle and upper middle class upwards is wanting or aspiring to have, let's say, a studio apartment or a small plot or a villa project or a townhouse or an independent house in all these destination places of India. Goa, of course, is one of the largest market, and I have done a lot of work there. So I have seen that market growing. And that is the reason I say it's a new product category, is that it was a very peripheral business in real estate earlier. It was very private. I used to go near my village and buy some land there, things like that, right? But now it's commoditized, it's distributed like any other real estate, it's getting manufactured like traditional real estate. Manufactured as in there is an experience centers, there is a whole page, there are brokers who are involved. Brokers never used to take interest in these destination places which are 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers away from the city. They are taking, because A, of course, there is money, B, there is a lot more demand, and C, there is a lot more awareness and supply. So in real estate, a lot of times supply creates the demand and not the other way around, right? Like we are sitting here in Juhu, right? I have grown up here in this area and I've seen a lot of apartments are very similar. The price per square feet would be 50, 60K per square feet. But there are some projects that have come up which are only single floors, only 4 beds, with some distance sea view. Like in real estate, we call a lot of things sea view and distance sea view and things like that, right? From a marketing perspective. And just the exclusivity creates the demand. Like this is the only building where there are only 4 beds. So there is privacy. I have my private floor. And it's the skim the milk strategy, right? You just need 20, 30 families. So the builders are not really worried about selling and stuff like that. In fact, it's almost a pull strategy as compared to the rest. So I just give you a very small example of how new product categories are getting created, especially on the luxury side. So luxury is broken up into several things. One is bigger spaces, not necessarily in your preferred locations. People are moving locations to have bigger spaces and not the other way around. Secondly, second homes, destination homes, that's a new product category, which can mean translate into plot buying, it can translate into co-branded residences now. People are buying hotel come studio apartment, they own it, they buy it, and they give it back to the hotel to run. So those things are happening in real estate, which was a very Western European thing. Now it's happening in India full blown, in almost all markets, right from North India to West and South India. So essentially, the mood point that I'm coming to is the buying behavior has changed. Instead of me buying another house to earn rent every month or an investment or an appreciation, it's like, why don't I live a better life? So I hope I could give you some perspective and data on that, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So Mihir, I have one more question for you. In today's era, how do you or startups in general balance performance marketing, influencer, or digital content, offline experience centers, like these varied mix across the marketing mix, various avenues, and in general partner networks, while you design the acquisition channel, let's say, if we talk in terms of real estate and overall in the startup culture, how do all of these elements come into play while designing the marketing mix?
Well, unlike how it used to be earlier, all these channels and sources and mediums practically run parallelly now. That's the change that I see. So you need to have your experience center, you need to have your channel partners slash brokers slash agents to be hand in glove with you right from day one in terms of planning the project, not just launching the project. Because a lot of ground level insights, feedback are very important. Just to give you some numbers, digital marketing is a big push now, but that still does not cross more than 20-25% of sales for any developer. So a bulk of sales is still done by channel partners, and in a good way, right? Because it creates employment, it creates a good balance of sourcing mixes for the developer also. And for the broker networks also, it's very important. They have multiple options, a lot more supply and things like that. So coming to the digital performance marketing part of it, yes, it's absolutely necessary. You may be a small builder, you may be a big builder. There are 2-3 subsets to it. You have to do your meta marketing, you have to do your search engine marketing, you have to do your SEO, depending on the budgets. But you also have to be available on platforms like ours or any other platform because you have to be present everywhere. Yes, you have to be present everywhere because any industry, but especially in real estate and banking and there's where in real estate where most of the money moves, right? It is a much more like a fishing net strategy. You have to have a huge net. You will catch big fishes, you will get small fishes, but you'll have to throw the net as wide as possible, right? So performance marketing is absolutely critical. But like I said, even brokers, interestingly, while I said 70-80% of sales is done by brokers, even they, 60-70% of their sales are digital. So if you ask me, what is the digital footprint on any inventory sale for anybody, it's probably more than 70-80% combined blended footprint of digital marketing. And then there are a lot of subsets, right? Social media posts. Now you do short property videos, you do great experience centers. Now virtual reality is being used much more. So a lot of developers, because the construction site is not that great. Not everybody has the money to build great experience centers. So a lot of now there's innovation happening. You create walkthroughs. Walkthroughs are a bare necessity right now. Earlier it used to be an option, right? You have virtual reality glasses where you can see the room from inside, you can measure it and things like that. So there are a lot more options on way to sell. They use the digital equipment ways and renders and stuff like that. Brochures are obviously passe, but they still are there as the mainstay, and it all intermingles. You use digital footprint, you use offline people, and combine it all together to create a whole set. Because last 4-5 years since the time the real estate boom has taken up, there's a lot more FSI, there is a lot more supply, and now sales is a little bit plateauing because a lot of absorption has already happened. But the point being that you've got to be all over the place. To grab attention, it's not easy. Whether it's a big developer like a Lodha or a Piramal or a Godrej, or it is a small developer. Everybody in their means have to be there. They have to understand what they need to do as compared to what the market is. Typically, 30-40% of the sales happens before the launch happens. That takes care of the cash flows for construction and some bit of the land buying cost and things like that. And in general, any industry, even in my banking and wealth management days, there was not much digital happening. But even today, through aggregator platforms and through various digital marketing efforts, although it's a very, very commoditized product, there's very little difference between a bank's product and the other bank's product, right? Of course, the experience differs, but the acquisition of customers, the levers are still the same. So the funnel building happens parallelly, almost equally through all channels, and in a very precise clockwork precision kind of thing. It's not a very reactive way of acquisition now. Let me just sell, let me build my stuff, and then I will figure. Now, while I'm building, I'm building my product. I'm also building my acquisition funnel, and it goes very hand in hand. And it also helps to plan better. Sometimes the acquisition funnel, the market feedback helps understand that no, this product may not be accepted very well. Let's say the price tweak can happen. Let's say the size of the apartment can change. So it has to all go very parallel.
So I think now we'll move to that part of your role that interests a lot of us, at least. I think luxury is something that is really fascinating. So how is marketing in the luxury real estate segment different from marketing in the generic or an affordable housing category? How do segmentation, value creation, communication, trust, these factors play in during that marketing funnel?
Sure. So look, luxury selling and luxury buying are very, very clearly different segments. The target audience changes significantly. Um, Broadly, a luxury buyer is somebody who's 40 plus, uh, earning well at a mid senior management, or obviously a business owner. And I personally see today those kind of clients want to be a little bit much more casual, in the sense that they don't want a lot of formality, they want a very honest answer. There has to be a lot of declutter. If you ask me in one word, how do you define luxury selling? Declutter everything. Whether it's your website, whether it's the information that you give to your client in terms of, let's say, multiple options and stuff, uh, be very pointed, crisp. Um, the client does want to know what you stand for, what's your experience, what do you bring to the table other than your company's brand or and the product, right? What is the value addition? So a luxury buyer is looking for value addition, which will be a lot of knowledge transfer, a lot of research, and like I answered in one of the earlier questions, a lot of your own feedback on the ground in terms of what that person wants to buy. And it generally applies to anything luxury, whether it's watches or a plane or anything like that. But especially in real estate, which is where even today most of the money moves of anybody, whether it's a middle class person or a lower middle class person or a rich person, a lot of money still goes to real estate, right? So we are lucky that way. But which is why they want to make sure that they are deploying their money through the right person, whether it's a builder or a broker or an agent or a consultant or an intermediary, whatever you may call it. So it has to be casual. It has to be a very one-on-one thing, very personalized. They don't want multiple calls. Push doesn't really work. You have to create your own personal brand with the client, and that creates the pull. That person wants to have genuine trust in you, right? And you should be able to emanate genuine trust wala energy, right? You just can't walk away by saying things that everybody else says, right? Um, you have to demonstrate your sincerity in terms of how you want to help them, give them genuine advice. At times, I have advised clients, listen, this is not the right time for you to buy, so please don't buy.
Going a step ahead.
Going a step ahead. And it also works in a reverse psychology at times. They said, no, I really appreciate it, but you know what, I still want to buy. So I said, I'm happy, right? But I think nothing beats genuine research, genuine sincerity, because then you don't have to fake, you don't have to position, you don't have to do all of that out of your way. Just get your data right, your relationship management right, like I said, right? And most importantly, deliver it in a right way. Declutter everything, right? You would want it that way, right? If you ever buy, imagine if you go to a shopping departmental store, if somebody is just coming along with you and helping you buy the same things that you are anyways going to buy, but they are going to guide you, hey, listen, these colors are on this side, on the upper floor you have this type of stuff, you can do it, but you want somebody to sort of, that's luxury, right? Time is luxury. So how you give your time well, how you value that other person's time, and how you translate it in the right format is what works.
Time is luxury. I think that is going to be a very poignant insight for me, at least
Always.
in this podcast.
Always.
So, Mihir, AI is transforming marketing everywhere, from targeting to automation to predictive insights. I think I'm really curious to know, how is AI being used in the real estate sector, both in marketing and overall customer experience delivery? Like, how does AI come into play over there?
Sure. So I think on marketing it has a huge role to play. It's already playing a lot of a huge role. So there are 2-3 types of people who use AI in real estate, right? One is the builder, which is the manufacturer. One is the intermediaries, which is the agencies and performance marketing companies and teams. How do they use AI? The biggest value addition is content, right? The amount of content library that the AI brings to the table, saving time, project execution becomes faster, brochure creation, all that's much faster. Today there are AIs. I mean, beyond ChatGPT, there are companies who create websites in 2 minutes, right? So you want to create a microsite of a new launch project or something, you can literally do it if you're a good prompt engineer, or you don't need to be an engineer, but if you're good at prompts and you know how to know the tool well, you can create websites in 2 minutes. So AI is already changing the way we do creative, because you have to sell a 60 square feet balcony and a chajja as a spacious deck. How do you word it, right? It's not something great, but how do you make it look great? AI does it for you. It gives you the right words, right image, right renders. So that's the beauty of AI. It brings a lot more minds. It's like 1,000 minds and creative ideas into one prompt. So that's what is definitely doing in real estate. I don't think it can play a huge value add yet in, let's say, designing layouts and architecture and stuff like that. Not a subject matter expert there, but I think that requires a lot of human touch, intelligence, accuracy, facts, right, sizes and stuff. I think legally there's a lot of it will also play a good role for legal contracts for properties and stuff, because there is a lot of standardization now in registration agreements and stuff. So it that can shorten the speed. Not the registration part can't be done by AI, because we have the grand government there involved, but the way you draft contracts, the way you deliver it, that is where AI will play a big role. So I think performance marketing definitely. I think a lot of aspects before the actual marketing campaigns happen, AI is already playing a huge role, right? It's not. In fact, I think it's not taking away jobs. It's in fact improving the jobs, unless somebody doesn't want to change much, right? So that's that. And your second part of the question was?
I think I was just talking in terms of the customer experience.
Yeah. Look, customer experience. A lot of language models are coming up where the interaction is being done by an AI bot or an agent. That is happening. Bots were already being used for lead generation and capture on your website. That was happening for a couple of years. But now slowly, although to me personally, I am not very convinced how well it can do, but I'm hearing that on the call centers, there is an AI agent talking to a human, answering a lot of questions at a human quality level in terms of interaction, tonality, the way we are speaking. It's not there yet, but I hear there are already, not just NoBroker, but a lot of companies, independent companies, who are building these language models where, marketing is also done. Like 1,000 people are called on a pre-recorded message. That is a very rudimentary way of doing that, but interactive AI in answering questions, regular FAQs and things like that, that's already happening. The quality may not be at human level, but I see it reaching 90% of human quality in another year or two. 50-60% is already there. I have experienced some of them, and I'm amazed how it's done. Although in India it becomes even more difficult because the dialect, language, culture, how do you assimilate all that in an AI agent for a conversation? So I don't see replacement of humans yet on that front in terms of delivering the customer experience, because Indians especially want contact and touch as compared to Western, where they want privacy and yes. Here Indians do want a positive friction, right? And I don't see a AI to play a big role yet on that side, whether it is the CRM or the experience management of the client, but it will get there in some form.
I think AI is here to stay. That's something that we will
Definitely.
include from.
Not sure of all AI companies, but AI is here to stay.
So, on the concluding note, Mihir, I would like to ask you something. What are the biggest personal philosophies or learnings that you have picked up along your professional or personal journey that have helped you, and you would like to share with our MBA board?
Sure, my favorite part. So look, personal, professional philosophy. I would say what has worked the most, mostly professionally, is dirty your hands in everything. Uh, I can't put it more simply. Whatever you do, you will be the best in that only if you dirty your hands more than anybody else. Now, what would that mean for you is depends on what your role is, what your product is, what your curiosity is. Be extremely curious. Let's say most of you will go into new companies, new jobs at an intern level or something like that. The first advice I would give is please don't hesitate. Okay, to ask questions, grill your seniors in a good way, right? Because you have to take care of your appraisals. But grill them in a way that they are able to help you, give you good answers. Seniors generally want to sort of use is a bad word, but take the interns and freshers help in doing a lot of menial work, which is fine, right? That's how you learn. A part of dirtying hands, right? And dirtying hands does not mean getting a coffee for your senior, right? If you do it out of your will, great. But I think dirtying your hands means understanding everything about your work and also a lot of the work that is not your work. So if you ask me in one line, go beyond your mandate. Whatever your mandate you think is, interpret it in a much larger way. Go beyond it. It is going to get you attention. People are going to notice. That is also going to help you get promoted, grow, or whatever, right? And you will not have to chase growth. Of course, we have to do that, but the growth will chase you if you go beyond your mandate in any job or work you do. So that's my one piece of advice to everybody.
I think that's of paramount importance to understand how your work fits into the entire curve of the
Yes.
machinery and
Absolutely.
going above and beyond and just being somebody who people can depend on because
Absolutely.
that's the kind of work that you do that it speaks for yourself.
True that.
Thank you so
Yes.
much for your advice.
Thank you for having me, guys.
This session was packed with a lot of insights, so
Thank
really
you.
thankful to have you here.
Thank you. Love to do more. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.